You know the tools, the ones in the bottom drawer of your father's workbench, the wrenches with the worn chrome and the knurled grips, the ratchet that still clicks clean after 40 years, the socket set in the metal case with the hinged lid that snapped shut with a sound you'd recognize in the dark. Craftsman. They weren't the most expensive tools in America, and they weren't the cheapest. They were the ones that lasted. The ones a man bought once, used for a lifetime, and handed down to his son without a second thought, because there was never any question they'd still work. For most of the 20th century, that red and black name was simply what a quality American hand tool looked like. And then, somewhere along the way, it stopped meaning that. The name is still on the shelf. The thing it stood for is gone. This is the story of how the most trusted tool brand in America was built, what made it legendary, and how it quietly lost the one thing that made it Craftsman. And the reason isn't a scandal, it's sadder than that. Here's something that surprises almost everyone, and it's where the whole story really begins. Sears never actually made a single Craftsman tool, not one. In 1927, Sears bought the rights to the name Craftsman from a small outfit called the Marion Craftsman Tool Company for $500. That was it. $500 for a word. From that day on, Craftsman was a brand, not a factory. Sears would design the tools, set the specifications, demand the quality, and then hire the best American manufacturers to actually build them and stamp the Craftsman name on the side. Over the years, those makers included some of the finest names in American tooling: Stanley, Danaher, Western Forge, and Moore Drop Forging. Sears was the conductor, not the orchestra, and for a long time it conducted brilliantly. Because here is the thing, Sears understood that made Craftsman work. In 1927, the man buying tools out of the Sears catalog was often a farmer, a mechanic, a tradesman who lived a long way from any store and could not afford to be sold junk. A tool that broke was not an inconvenience to him. It was a day's work lost, miles from a replacement. So Craftsman had to be trustworthy, or it was nothing. And Sears built that trust in the boldest way a company can. They made a promise. The promise was the lifetime warranty, and it was unlike anything else in American retail. It was breathtakingly simple. If a Craftsman hand tool ever failed, for any reason, at any time, no matter how old, no matter how you broke it, you brought it back to any Sears in the country, and they handed you a new one. No receipt, no proof of purchase, no questions. You didn't have to have bought it. You didn't even have to explain. A broken wrench in, a new wrench out. Forever. Now sit with what that actually meant, because it's the heart of this entire story. That warranty was so absolute that Craftsman tools effectively became a form of money. This really happened. People would go to garage sales and flea markets hunting for old, beat-up, rusted, broken Craftsman wrenches and ratchets, tools made 50 years earlier. Buy them for pocket change, walk into a Sears, and walk out with brand new shining replacements. Some folks did it for a living. The tools were as good as cash because the promise behind them never expired. A Craftsman wrench wasn't really a wrench. It was a guarantee with a handle on it. There has never been anything quite like it in the history of American things you could buy. And on the strength of that promise, Craftsman became an institution. By the middle of the century, it was the default. It was the tool brand in the American garage, not because it was fancy, but because it was honest. A man might dream about the gleaming red snap-on chest that the professional mechanics rolled around the shop. But for the millions of ordinary Americans fixing their own cars in their own driveways on a Saturday, building their own decks, keeping their own farms running, Craftsman was the answer. Good enough for any job, affordable enough to actually own outright, and backed by a promise that meant you never had to buy the same tool twice. Sears, meanwhile, grew into the largest retailer in the United States, and Craftsman grew right along with it. In 2014, Sears could still accurately call it America's #1 brand of mechanics tools. From the outside, it looked like it would last forever, just like the tools themselves. But the foundation under all of it was already cracking. And to understand how Craftsman fell, you have to understand that it didn't fall on its own. It was tied to a sinking ship. That ship was Sears. The same company that had built Craftsman into an institution was, by the early 2000s, beginning a long, painful decline of its own. The catalog that had once reached every farmhouse in America had been killed by the shopping mall. The mall was being killed by the big box store, and the big box store was being killed by the internet. Sears, the giant, was slowly bleeding out. It closed stores by the hundreds, then by the thousands, losing money year after year. And Craftsman, for all its legend, was not an independent company. It was a brand owned by Sears. When Sears began to drown, Craftsman was chained to its ankle. You could see the promise starting to fray quietly at the edges. Around 2009, as Sears scrambled to cut costs, stores began enforcing little restrictions that had never been part of the deal. Some started refusing tools that were too rusted. Some limited you to exchanging 3 tools a day to stop the garage sale scavengers. In 2014 came a bigger change, easy to miss but telling. Now the warranty claim had to be made at the original store where you bought it. Think about what that small clause really did. The whole magic of the old promise was that it didn't matter where or when, any Sears, anytime, forever. The moment it mattered where you bought it, the promise was no longer the promise. And for a man who had bought his tools 30 years earlier at a Sears that had long since closed its doors, the warranty had quietly become a piece of paper that meant nothing. Then came the day the story turned for good. On January 5th, 2017, after 90 years, Sears, desperate for cash to keep its own lights on, announced it was selling the Craftsman brand. The buyer was Stanley Black Decker, and the price was $900 million. Sears, the company that had bought the name for $500 in 1927, sold it 9 decades later for nearly $1 billion, not because Craftsman had failed, but because Sears needed the money to survive a little longer. The tool brand was being sold off for parts to keep the dying parent company breathing. And the following year, in 2018, Sears filed for bankruptcy anyway. So what happened to the tools themselves? This is the part that stings for anyone who grew up on them. Stanley Black Decker now owned the name, and a name is mostly what they bought. The new Craftsman went where the new owner sold things, to Lowe's, to Ace Hardware, to Amazon, onto the big box shelves. And the tools that now carried the legendary name were, by most honest accounts, simply fine, decent, affordable, imported in large part, many stamped not with the old proud USA, but with Made in China, or the carefully worded Made in USA with global materials. The men who had spent their lives with the old Craftsman noticed immediately. The brand that had once meant the best, honest hand tool in America had become, as one longtime tool writer put it, just another mid-tier name on a crowded shelf, barely distinguishable from a dozen others. The soul had been sold along with the name, and the warranty, the promise that had made the whole thing legendary, the guarantee that was as good as cash, that is the quietest casualty of all. Officially, the lifetime coverage on the core hand tools still exists, but the simple, no questions, any store, anytime magic is gone. Now you have to find a retail partner that happens to stock an equivalent item. Now the part numbers do not match between the old Sears tools and the new Lowe's ones, so the store often has nothing to swap. Now there are limited warranties and tape measures covered only for a few years and phone numbers that loop you in circles. The replacement that used to take 30 seconds and a handshake at the Sears counter has become a maze. The promise did not die in a single moment. It was slowly strangled, one reasonable sounding restriction at a time, until what was left wore the same words but meant almost nothing. Here's the part worth holding on to though, the part that isn't sad. The old tools are still out there and they still work. That's the strange, beautiful irony of a thing built to last. The company that made it can stumble. The warranty can wither. The name can be sold off twice over. And the wrench in your father's drawer does not care about any of it. It still turns the bolt exactly the way it did in 1965. There are men today using Craftsman ratchets they inherited from fathers who inherited them from their fathers. Tools older than the men holding them, and they will likely never have to redeem that lifetime warranty because the tool has simply never broken. The promise outlived the company that made it, not on paper, but in steel. So what really happened to Craftsman? It was not destroyed by a villain. There was no greed-soaked boardroom plotting to cheat you. It was something quieter and more American than that. A great brand was tied to a great company, and when that company slowly died in a changing world, the brand was sold off to keep it alive a little longer, and the new owner kept the valuable part, the name, and let go of the expensive part, the promise. The thing that made Craftsman was never the steel. It was the trust. And trust, it turns out, is the one thing that does not transfer in a $900 million sale. If you've got them, a set of Craftsman wrenches, a ratchet, a socket set in that old metal case, maybe handed down from your father, I'd like to hear about it. What do you still have? And who did it come from? Tell me in the comments. I read every one. And if this brought that workbench back to you, even for a moment, then subscribe and stick around. This is Forgotten American Life Secrets, and every time we go back.